for better days to come and carry us like wind in our sails. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us. If we just hold on tight, this vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore. Now on this boat, and we all know where we belong. Just wait. Wait for our home to show on the horizon. Soon we'll be there. Hold on tight, I can smell the shore, it's right in front of us. If we just hold on tight, this vision that I saw is getting closer every dawn. We are dreamers of the shore when we can't read the sky. We just sail with the wind that we've got.
Hello everyone, and you're very welcome to Fraochknits little podcast. This is episode number 22, I think. It's been ages since I've been talking to you all. It's been ages since I did a podcast. I look back at my notes, it was the 10th of March. So, this year, which is about, gosh, it's nearly 3 months ago. Today is the 3rd of June. And it's really nice to be back with you again. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, to be honest, sitting in front of the camera again after a few months away from it. But so I hope you'll forgive me if I'm not as sort of flowing as I usually am, if I am at all. Anyway, really good to see you and delighted to be here to share with you all of the knitting progress that I've made, because even though I haven't been podcasting, I've been knitting loads and loads and loads and really enjoying it. And yes, so for those of you who haven't been here before, my name is Anya. I live in the west of Ireland, and I love to knit, and I love everything creative, really. I love yarn, I love colour. Yes, so this podcast is all about that. But I also have a section in the podcast which looks at Irish traditions and Irish culture, and I've been doing a series on the Ogham alphabet, and this podcast I'm going to continue that, so even though it's 3 months since I did the last one. And I had started looking at the letters, the Ogham letters, and I'd started looking at the trees that they're associated with or called after. So I've done the first 5 letters in the last podcast, and I'll be looking at the next 5 today. So if you're interested in that, you can stick around for it at the end. I'll let you know when that bit starts. So yeah, so here we are. I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you're all enjoying the start of summer. Summer is officially here. The cuckoo was with us a couple of weeks ago. So for us, in the Irish calendar, the traditional Celtic calendar, summer actually begins on the 1st of May. So we're well into summer now. And the month of May in Irish is called Bealtaine. And that's where the whole, sometimes people call it Beltane, the Celtic festival comes from. So the Gaelic pronunciation is Bealtaine, and it is such a time of growth and hope, and just green. Everything around here is really green at the moment, and my garden is full of wildflowers. I get so excited every year to see them coming back. I'm doing No Mow May again this year, or I have done it. We're into June, and I've since been reading a little bit more about that, and the recommendation is that you don't mow at all during the summer, because all of the creatures that came into your garden during No Mow May are threatened or at risk if you do mow after that time. So I suppose the way to make your garden look a little bit neater is to do around the edges and to do pathways, and none of which I've done. So my garden looks very overgrown, but you know, it's amazing. It's a sort of an aesthetic that, you know, my eye is certainly becoming attuned to. I like that look, and I just think it really does attract more insects, and the insects attract more birds, and the birds then, the whole thing, the whole ecosystem, all the creatures flock to a place which is left to rewild. So anyway, I'm digressing from what I was going to talk about, which is the knitting. Of course, we're all here for a little bit of knitting. So sit back and relax anyway, get yourself a nice hot cup. Even though it is summer, I'm still drinking a nice hot cup of coffee actually. So in my lovely cup, which is made by Charlie Mahan, who's a fabulous ceramicist from Cork, and he makes these lovely fish pieces. So this is a fish piece by Charlie Mahan with my coffee, and I need coffee today to get me going and get me I suppose motivated to present all of the stuff that I have and show it to you. Yes, so it's beginning of summer. That actually brings me to what I'm wearing. So every year I seem to decide that I'm gonna, in the springtime, that I'm gonna move away from the sort of darker colours that I've been knitting in. And almost like I can't actually stop myself from knitting with green. So nearly every year I choose a bright coloured project, and often it's a green colour. And this year I really went completely all out with my choice of green. So this is a project that I'm really proud of. I absolutely love it. It's called the Harlow V-neck sweater by Fraochknits, and I have fallen in love with all of her patterns. I really love them. They're just there's something so timeless and elegant and yet relaxed and easygoing about them. So they have this really lovely cut. There's just a lovely proportion. This one was knit with 2 yarns held together. So I had the Rama Fino yarn, which is in my collection here. I have so much stuff that it's piled up here beside me. Rama Fino yarn, and it is the it's the green colourway, but it is 4180, I think, is what it is. Just get my notes out. It's on the ball. It's 4130, and this is Norwegian wool, really woolly wool. It's got a beautiful sort of heathered colour, and that was held double with a silk mohair from Vichy Boot, and the colour of that is medium green. And I don't have any of it left actually. I used 6 balls, 6 25-gram balls of the Vichy Boot in the sweater. I thought I was going to run out, but I didn't run out, thank God, because I didn't want to have to order 1 ball of yarn. And I've been through this same issue with a couple of projects where I've just held out right to the very end, and it's been a payback. There's been a payback. In other words, I haven't had to order more yarn. And my big effort this year is to try and use what I have already in stash. Now with this one, I actually had bought 2 balls of this when I was on a trip to Holland, the Netherlands, in December 2022, and they inspired this sweater. So I only had 2 balls, and I knew that by buying 2, I knew that it was just really a sample, that if I wanted to knit a sweater, I'd have to buy more. And I did a lot of searching online actually to find a good place. So I'm buying from Ireland, so I'm always buying overseas. None of this yarn is sold here on this landmass anyway, on the island of Ireland. So I'd either have to import it from, I don't know, anywhere else in Europe. And there are lots of sites, there are lots of shops, web shops that sell it. But the best value I came across was an old favourite web shop or website of mine, which is Old Centrum. So Old Centrum, my favourite yarn of all time. This is a beautiful skein of it that was given to me by my lovely friend Snamatia. in my Christmas box, and look at how beautiful this colour is. So I'm hoping this is going to go into a project soon. But Old Centrum is where I bought this, and it was the cheapest, most reasonably priced website to buy from. So this was €4.16 per ball, per 100 gram ball. So it's incredibly good value. So this combined with I think I needed 7 balls, even though I think 8 was what was in the pattern for my size, but I only used 7 I think in the end, and I used the 6 balls of the silk mohair. So altogether this jumper cost me roughly about €100, which I think is just incredibly good value for what it is. Anyway, this is my little swatch. And the reason I'm showing you my swatch is that you'll know from the last podcast, and thank you everybody for commenting on that last podcast, because loads of you commented when I put out a poll as to whether I should frog my last project, which was oversized. It was too big. It was supposed to be an oversized sweater. It was the Ewan sweater by November Knits, and I asked everybody what they thought, and most of you, I think only one person said don't frog it. so I loved everybody's honesty. Thank you very much. And actually I really knew, and you knew that I knew that it was going to have to go. And that was a problem with gauge. My gauge worked out way too big, and I thought it was the fact that I actually hadn't swatched properly for it. But as it turns out, I'm starting to finally really realise that when I swatch, what I get in my swatch is not what I get in my finished jumper. And I know they say to swatch in the round if you're going to knit in the round, and I don't swatch in the round. And maybe that's what makes the difference, but I think it's actually more to do with the fact that when I knit, when I knit a swatch, I'm knitting at tighter tension because it's a smaller piece of fabric. When I'm knitting in the round, when I'm knitting a big fabric, big piece, or in the round or a sweater, I just relax and my whole tension loosens out. And so I've got really good now at actually looking at what my gauge swatch says. At the end of a project, I look back at the gauge swatch and I see what did it actually say, even though I've usually written that in my notes somewhere. But just to double check, because sometimes I don't believe my notes when I look back and it's different. So I check the actual gauge swatch and I measure the sweater, or I check the gauge on the sweater, and then I measure my finished chest measurement. So with this sweater, I knew it was slightly bigger than I had expected it to be, but not so oversized or not so big that I'm not happy with it. I am happy with it. It's double negative. So I'm delighted with the look of this sweater. I'm absolutely thrilled with it. But it was a good exercise to look at how much bigger it turned out than I was expecting. So just to give you a little bit of a lowdown on that. So I highly recommend the pattern, beautifully written, really straightforward knitting. It looks more sophisticated than it is, I think, in terms of how easy it was to knit. I did the extra large size, which should have given me a finished bust measurement of 51.25 inches. Sorry for the people who use centimetres. Even though we use millimetres, centimetres and metres for measuring lots of things in this country, I still can't picture body measurements any other way than using inches. Anyway, 51.25 inches for a chest measurement, which is 10% of positive ease. So they recommend an 8 to 10%. So my bust measurement is around 41, sometimes it's 42. So 51.25 would have given me 10 inches, which is the sort of upper end of what was recommended in the pattern. And the gauge recommended is 19 stitches and 28 rows. So my gauge swatch gave me 19 stitches and 28 rows after blocking on a 4mm needle, which is exactly what was wanted by the pattern. So I was delighted with myself because I actually got gauge. So the finished sweater gauge then is 18 stitches and 27 rows. So it's a whole stitch off, bigger than it should be. And the chest circumference of the finished sweater is 53 inches. So it's nearly 2 inches more than what was expected. So it's nearly 2 inches over the maximum positive ease of 10. So it's got a positive ease of about 12 inches. So it's a little too big, but as this is an oversized fit anyway, it's an oversized look, I think I can get away with it with this particular sweater, and I'm actually really happy with it anyway. Okay, hi again everybody. I ran into trouble there in the first section of video that I shot. As you probably noticed, the screen was getting hazier and hazier, and this is the problem that I've had before, where that's my phone making a noise now, where the moisture that's in the camera is heated up by the video recording, and it turns to steam and it condenses then on the inside of the camera lens, and it gives it a very, very sort of hazy effect, which is nice until I start disappearing altogether behind the fog. So forgive me for that. I've cut out a good bit of that first bit that I recorded because it just wasn't visible. I wasn't visible rather. Anyway, the camera has been in its bag after probably a couple of days out in the rain. I use the camera for work, and if it's raining out then it gets wet, and I need to remember to take it out of the bag and dry it out after every time that I end up in the rain taking photographs. So yeah, this is where we're at. So I think I went through in a lot of the detail of the my gauge issues and how I'm really learning, and still after, this is my 5th year I think of my return to knitting, so I've knit an awful lot of stuff in the last 5 years, but I'm still learning about gauge, and I think it's an ongoing thing. I think we're always learning, and I think I'm beginning to really see though that swatches are very, very useful, but you have to really measure your swatch up against your finished product, which I probably haven't been that disciplined in doing that in the past, so it's definitely worth doing. What else was I going to tell you about? Oh yeah, the sweater itself, just to wear, is so lightweight, drapey, cozy, warm, but also can be worn in an Irish summer, because if I wear it without a shirt underneath it, just maybe a top, it is lovely and breezy around the neck, so it keeps you cool, and yet it keeps your body warm, your arms warm. And if any of you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that I was on the beach on Saturday 2 days ago in the glorious sunshine. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, the sea was blue, the sky was blue, the sand was beautiful golden white colour, and I was wearing this jumper while I was knitting with linen quill, which is also quite a warm yarn, and it was, I was just about warm enough because there was a really lovely sea breeze, a northerly sea breeze. And I think you just, at the beach in Ireland, it's rare that you can actually wear, t-shirts or whatever. It's always cold, it's always breezy anyway, and if the breeze is from the north, it's cold. So yeah, so I was very happy sitting in my newly completed Harlow v-neck and knitting on a mini mock neck tank, which is one of the projects I'm going to talk to you about in a few minutes. So the beauty of this sweater, it has its folded over beautiful v-neck, which I said keeps you cool. I love the folded over chunkiness of it. I love the long ribbed cuffs rather on the sleeves. I love the drop shoulder sleeves, which is the first time I've actually knit these, and found it very easy. And I like the style, I like the way it looks on me, even though I wasn't sure how it would work on narrow shoulders. I've got quite narrow shoulders, but it seems to work okay. And there's also a split hem and a lovely deep ribbing at the base of the body. So it's just a lovely, lovely sweater. Really, really, I'm so happy with it. I love all of Cardigan patterns, and I really want to knit more of them because they're just so classic. They're a really, really classic style. Yeah, definitely want to do more of these. So that's it. And actually, I have to frog I still haven't done it, to frog the Ewan sweater that I knit, and there are a few patterns in Cardigan's designs that I think I might actually choose, I have a 15 stitch gauge to fit, or to find a pattern that will work with the 15 stitch gauge, which is what I got in the end with the yarn that I was using for that project. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you, the next finished object is this one here. This is my what's it called, Second Avenue shawl, Second Avenue wrap by Amy Miller. This is a fabulous spring summer drapey lightweight wrap, and yeah, it's just really full of fun and full of life. I'll throw it on for you just to show how it looks. So that's it on, and I can even do it wrapped around a couple of times. And this is one of my favourite colours in the whole thing, and I love the red and the grey, and I love these little scalloped edges. There's a scalloped edge on one end and a picot edge on the other, so don't look too closely at the picot. It's the first time I was doing it and it's not entirely even, but anyway, I don't think you'll notice that. So and the lovely texture of the grey in the middle, and the beautiful what's it called, sort of a lace pattern, the yarn overs in the green and the blue. And this was knit using all yarns from my stash that were sort of left. Some of them were left over, some of them I have very few, very little, small amount of it left. So I wanted to find a pattern that would suit yarns that I had left over. So this is what I found, and I absolutely love it. It's such a pleasure to knit. The actual, it's so simple. It's just it's one-sided. So you've got purl on one side and you've got knit stitch on the other. The edging is, I won't give it away because it's a paid for pattern, but I did it slightly differently. I didn't like the edging that was suggested, so I did a, what's it called? It's like a sort of an I-cord. Is it an I-cord? It's where you slip stitches at the edge. It's not an I-cord, it's a slip stitch. I think I slipped 3 stitches and then knit away, so it curls around a little bit, but I really like, I think it looks like a neater edge than the one in the actual pattern. I haven't actually blocked this because I think it would be very difficult for me to dry it, so I have a problem with blocking stuff because it can be really difficult to dry because it takes so long to dry, because we have a lot of wet weather here in Ireland, and especially on the west coast. And not only that, even inside the house the humidity is always high. So, and then the difficulty of finding a place to lay something out, and this is really big, and I just thought, where am I going to find to lay it out? Because the living room, you can't see the mess that's behind the camera at the moment, but the living room is in a state because I'm still working on installing the stove that I was telling you about, that I was getting installed, so wood burning stove, and I have put a lot of work into tidying up around the opening where the old fireplace was, and the stove is being installed tomorrow, hopefully, which is very exciting. But the place has been like a building site, so I haven't had this room to use for laying out knitting, and that's drying. So instead of blocking it, instead of wet blocking this, what I did was I just steam blocked it. So I just laid it on an ironing board and got a tea towel and wet the tea towel. So I got a damp tea towel. So I wrung out the tea towel, made it not too wet, just damp. Laid that over the wrap and ironed on top of that, and it actually looked like beautiful. It looked perfect. It flattened out. It just improved the whole look of it once I steam blocked it. So that was that. And just the yarns then, what are they? So the 2 of them are lazy linen from Kremka Soul Wool. The cream and the blue are lazy linen, and that is 90% wool and 10% linen. And I actually bought that as a substitute at one stage to make a half and half triangles wrap instead of using the Pearl Soho linen quill, which is what the red here is. This is the linen quill in red poppy. stunning bright colour and a beautiful yarn. I really love this yarn, and I think what's missing from the Kremka sole wool is the alpaca. I think it's very difficult. I haven't managed to find a fingering weight alpaca wool linen mix other than in Pearl Soho's linen quill, and for me it's so expensive to order it in from the States. So even though I love knitting with it, it's one of my favourite yarns to knit with, and it's got such a beautiful drape. It's lightweight, it's airy, it's great for the summer here in Ireland. You still need the warmth of the alpaca and the wool, but the linen gives it that lovely light airiness. Yeah, I still haven't found there is a sport weight, I think, version of something similar, which is done by Carol Feller in her yarns. She's an Irish yarn producer and knitter and knitwear designer from Cork, and I think she does have, I forget the name of her yarns now, they'll come back to me, but she doesn't have a fingering weight version, so maybe she could consider having a fingering weight version. That'd be brilliant. Yeah, so the other colours then are, so the green, the chartreuse, and the grey are both Life in the Long Grass, and the green is chartreuse, and the grey is, I think, pewter, both merino singles. And the grey you might recognise from, I love the way the grey is a foil as well to the bright pink, or the bright red poppy. And this grey is actually a yarn that I used in the mystery knit along, the Stephen West mystery knit along from 2023, which was dogged by all sorts of issues, and in the end I didn't really like the finished object, my finished shawl, even though a lot of you commented and said it was lovely. Thank you very much. And but it stayed in the drawer for ages and I never wore it, and I kept taking it out and thinking, oh, maybe I'll wear it and, you know, try it different ways. And anyway, in the end I actually decided to frog it, so please forgive me for frogging that project that took so long. That actually took, there were some stitches in that just took an inordinate length of time, and they didn't do anything for me, either the finished look of the stitch, and I just thought it really wasn't something I was ever going to do again, and I didn't really enjoy wearing it. So I got the yarn back and I've put it into this project, which I definitely will wear and I absolutely love, and it really showcases the beauty of the Life in the Long Grass, where you can see it's got little bits of brown and white and grey in the pewter, and the chartreuse is just a stunning colour. I'm going to take it off actually and show it to you properly so you can see how beautiful the chartreuse is and how gorgeous the pewter is. And this actually is the Kremka sole wool, which looks fabulous in the in this pattern where you have the yarn overs. So that's it there with the yarn overs, and then I love the combination of the grey and the red. So I'm really happy with this. It was such a lovely spring knit, and it went by really too quickly. It was just really easy back and forth knitting. So a lot of purling, I suppose, but I don't really mind that. As long as you don't mind purling, it's a really nice project. So that's the second finished object that I have to show you. I'm going to look quickly at my notes now and see have I missed anything, and what the third finished object I was going to show you is. And I think it's going to be one which, oh yeah, so that was knit on 3.5mm needles, which was one size down from the 4mm that were suggested. So that just shows you that my gauge is really very loose, or at least my tension is very loose. And it's a oh yes, I didn't do a swatch for that one actually. I just knit across and for a few rows and realised it was working out way too big, and I was worried about not having enough of the leftover yarns that I had. So that's that one. And the third project that I'm going to show you that's a finished object, or actually I'm calling it finished even though it's not not completely finished, but it's the Decision cardigan. So this is it here, if I can extricate it from my pile of knitting. And this is, okay, so this is how much I have left of the yarn. So there's so many stories behind this actual piece of knitting, which some of you probably recognise from. So this has been on the go since I started making knitting podcasts, which is now nearly 2 years ago. I can't believe it. So I started recording knitting podcasts and publishing them on YouTube in, I think it was July 2022. And one of the projects that I had started, so it was already started at that stage, was this pattern by Ankestrick is the name of the designer, Ankestrick, and the pattern is the Decision cardigan. So you can see that I have actually finished the cardigan. I still have the needle in the top of the collar here, and this is the only amount of this yarn that I have left. So there are 2 yarns held together. One of them is oh no, I didn't write this down either. What is it? So there's a silk mohair, which is Ito Sensai, and it's in gold oak. And the other one, the colour is Érable, and it is, I remember the name of the colour, it's French yarn. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. I'll put it on the screen here. I forget the name of the yarn. And anyway, it's a beautiful bouncy wool, a woolly wool, and it is stunning to work with, absolutely delightful. Every minute of this project I absolutely loved. It was a labour of love actually, because it's all cables all the way throughout. Actually, there's a piece of that has to be sewn in. It's not going to stay like that. This is some of the silk mohair that's hanging out, and then you have bits, that down the sides you have this lovely panel of 1x1 rib. You have really lovely 1x1 ribbing at the shoulder, just below the shoulder, and you have lovely skinny sleeves, and you have a lovely high collar. And this is there are 2 options for it. You can leave off the collar and leave it without a zip, and that's it, finished. So that's why I'm calling this finished, because it actually has gone beyond the first finished stage. And then the second option is to have the high collar and to have a zip. So I bought a zip at Christmas, but I didn't have the garment with me, or the nearly finished garment, and I bought the wrong size zip, even though I tried to figure out what size I needed from the pattern. So this is the correct size zip, and it's also in a funky orange colour, which I absolutely adore, which I think is going to work really, really well with it's going to brighten up the darkness of the brown. So that's going to be the look of my zip. And the reason, so the whole process of this is that you have to block the cardigan before you knit the collar, and then you knit it to the length of your zip, and that's why I have left this in here until the zip arrived. So the zip only came in the post literally about, it was last week sometime, so I haven't had the chance to sit down yet and figure out whether I need to knit any longer, or whether I have, in fact I think it may be going in a little bit on the short side. I will just have to look at that. No, it's pretty much as it is. So I'll be looking up YouTube videos on how to do this, because I haven't done this yet. I haven't inserted a zip, installed a zip, whatever you call it, into a garment, and I am really looking forward to doing it. And actually, so I have a sewing machine, but I might do it by hand. I think someone was saying definitely do it. Obviously you baste it in by hand and then you go with the sewing machine. But I can't remember ever using a sewing machine, even though I think I had one as a child. I had a little baby sewing machine, as far as I can remember, because I loved all these crafty toys when I was a kid. I had a little weaving loom, and I did knitting, and I think I had a sewing machine at some stage. But I've been looking at, since then I haven't actually used a sewing machine, but my sister gave me her old sewing machine recently, and it's been sitting there gathering dust literally, and I'm dying to get it out and to use it. And this project is making me use it, and not only am I going to be putting in this zip, but I'm also going to be looking at making something a garment from fabric and sewing. And I'm really excited to do that because at the moment I'm finding it so hard to find really nice quality clothes that don't cost an absolute fortune. And I think the quality of our clothes is just getting worse and worse and worse. And nothing fits me either, so I'm looking for something I want to make that fits me. Hi again. I am just going to tell you a tiny little bit more about the gauge swatch on this particular garment here. So I was telling you earlier in the podcast that I have been learning about really looking at my gauge and really trying to figure it out. And this one was different to the pattern that I've noticed happening with my other knitting. And I think it's because of the cables. So this is knit on 3mm needles, which is what was called for in the pattern. I knit a sized large to give me roughly about 6 inches of positive ease, because the finished chest measurement of this should have been about 47.5 inches for the size that I chose. I knit on the recommended needle. I usually have to go down needle size. My gauge swatch in this told me that I was going to get about, I think it's 26 stitches per 4 inches. Anyway, the finished chest measurement of this is actually 44 inches. So it's a good few inches short, about 3 inches short of what I should have got. So I just think that I was really tight on the cables. So cable knitting for me, obviously I'm knitting tighter than I would normally knit when I'm knitting in, because it doesn't flow. You're not on this flow where you're getting sort of like relaxed and everything's getting a bit looser. So this is really just a case of knowing that when I knit cables, I maybe need to go up needle size, or I need to be just a bit more relaxed in my knitting. So it's slightly less positive ease than suggested in the pattern. But having said that, it fits absolutely perfectly. I really love the fit of it. And when I have the zip in it, there'll be a little bit of ease, I think, given by the thickness of the centre of the zip. Not much, but it won't be right up against it. These two edges don't need to be right up against each other. It can have the zip showing, or perhaps not, we'll see. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because it's going to be, as it is, the chest measurement is 44 inches and I'm 41. It's 3 inches of positive ease, so it's enough. The other thing I suppose as well is that the side panels are flexible. So they because they're ribbing, it's a really beautiful design. Anka Strick's designs are just so well thought out. So actually there's plenty of give in the side panels, and I could even block it out again and maybe block these a little bit wider to give me a little bit of an extra bit of ease in the garment. So the process, I don't think I told you about so this has been on the needles for so long, and a couple of things slowed me down. I think in the back of my mind the zip was the thing that was slowing me down the most, not really wanting to finish it so that I would have to face the fact that I have to learn how to do this thing that seems really hard. The other thing about it was that I was worried that I was running out of yarn, and I didn't feel like buying another ball of the Ito Sensai silk mohair, which is exorbitant in terms of cost. I was going with what was recommended in the pattern. I don't think it's beautiful silk mohair, but I don't think I would buy it again because it's so expensive. I remember the name of Stererum Natura is the name of the actual wool, 100% wool, and that is really good value. So I was going to have to buy one ball of each. I had run out of both, or at least I thought I wasn't going to have enough left. And so I had sort of stopped before minding off the edges, but I had left, actually, when I went back to it, I realised that I had left yarn for both of the sleeve cuffs, and for binding off the sleeve cuffs, and also for binding off the hem of the body. And so whatever I had left, all that had to do was the collar. And I looked at it one day and I said, it's not going to do the collar. And then I thought, look, just do the collar and see how far you get, and then order a ball of yarn if you need it. But the thing, before I could knit the collar, I had to block the sweater, and blocking the sweater is hard. As I told you, it's difficult here to get a day where this dried out after being blocked in one day, because we had a really nice sunny day recently and I put it outside in the garden. The fabric of this is so light, it just dried out very, very quickly. But this, I felt, because it's so dense and because of the cables, was going to take a long time to dry out. So all of these things were like little roadblocks to me actually progressing in the pattern. Eventually, when I did knit it up, I got halfway up the collar and ran out of yarn. And then I realised I have the swatch. So I thought, is the swatch going to be enough? And then I realised I had a second swatch that I had done for another project that I never knit, from just the yarn, just the wool on its own. Just the De Rare Natura. So I had enough of both to get me to this level here, and this is enough to bind off the finished collar. So I am absolutely delighted that this is finished, and it will be ready for wearing in the summer in Ireland, or definitely for the autumn. It's a fabulous autumn colour. So I'm really happy with that. So it just feels great to get there, and I'm really looking forward to using the sewing machine for putting in the zip. That's going to be really exciting. And I have a source of zips on Etsy. It's where I got the zip actually, so it was really cheap. And I know I can go back there if I need other zips, or if I actually need a longer one. I may need a longer one than that. I might have measured it incorrectly. Who knows? We'll see. I hope not. So yeah, that's it. They're all my finished objects. I have started work very recently on the mini mock neck tank by Jessie Maid Designs, and that is in this. So this is being knit. I'm in the middle of a row actually. I stopped in the middle of a row this morning, and it is, as you can see, a very simple, that's the front of it there, I think you're looking at. So this is it, and you can see there are these little ribbings underneath the arms, and the arms, that's the finished edge actually of this. There are no sleeves at all, so the finished edge you can see is knit one, purl one, knit one, and with slipped stitch as well for the edge. And then you go back and you add a collar to the neck, and I think there are 2 different widths of collar that you can have depending on how you want the look to be. And this is so what's interesting about the gauge on this one, it's all about gauge this week, or this podcast, but I had only just started to realise that about the gauge on this being different, the finished gauge being different to my gauge swatch. I had started knitting this on the basis of a gauge swatch that gave me the right number for the pattern. I had chosen, I'm just going to read out the numbers here because I can't remember what they are exactly. So I did a gauge swatch on the 26th of May, so I started this very recently. I got 24 stitches and 28 rows pre-blocking using a 3.5mm needle. I decided to do the large, number 4. So the large has a finished chest circumference here of 35.5 inches, which is 5.5 inches of negative ease for me. And the recommended negative ease on this is 4.5 to 6.5. Now the whole idea of doing a negative ease garment is, for me, a bit scary because I haven't done one before and I'm not sure about whether I'm going to like the look of it. But I thought, look, go for it, you know. And actually the person who had given me the inspiration to start knitting this is Stacey, beautiful Stacey from Fraochknits, Stacey Elstone. And she's done a tutorial actually on how to follow the pattern. And I just love her podcast. I love her personality. Really love watching what she knits. I love the fabrics, not the fabrics, but the yarns she uses. I love the patterns she chooses. She's just really inspirational. So I decided, and she wears these lovely mini mock neck tanks underneath, as she calls it, a flannel, I think. So I thought, I really like that look. I really like the idea of wearing a shirt over one of these tanks, and maybe if it's really hot during the summer, you know, Irish summer, you still need wool. It's not going to be too warm, it's never going to be too warm. And I thought, I've had this bit of linen quill in my stash for a while. I don't have a lot of it, and I thought I don't have enough for a whole jumper, and I thought actually it's perfect to use it. And I've used it, as you can see, already in the wrap. So yeah, but the whole negative ease thing, I thought, is that going to really suit? But then I thought, just go for it, because Stacey has done it. So I'd cast on, I was already knitting up what I thought was going to be this, 5.5 inches negative ease finished garment. And then I was watching Stacey again, and she said that she knits hers at zero ease rather. So there's neither positive nor negative ease in it. And I went, oh, I don't believe it. That's it now. Mine is going to be really figure hugging, and I'm not going to like it. But I went back and I said, oh, I wonder, is my gauge actually the same as my swatch? And it turns out that, wait till you hear this now, for serendipity, pure luck. But after knitting the first section, I found that the gauge is actually 22 stitches before blocking instead of 24. So my final gauge could be about 21 stitches after blocking. So the size L at this gauge has a finished chest of X amount of stitches divided by 21 gives me 40.76 inches, which is pretty much zero ease, because I'm about 41. So there you go. So actually, because of my sort of, thing where my gauge swatch is actually giving me a false indication of my actual knitting gauge, I'm actually going to end up with the desired ease on this, or at least the ease with which Stacey Elstone knits hers, her mini mock neck tanks. Anyway, this started on the 26th, and what day are we today again? I think it's the 3rd of June. So probably about a weekish, just over a week I've been knitting this. And it's slow enough because it's fingering weight wool, and I've been doing other things like trying to plaster fireplaces and stuff like that, and but it's been so nice to knit, and really enjoying it, and can't wait till it's finished. It won't be long till it's finished. So the other thing about it is it's a cropped a cropped top, and I'll probably be knitting it a bit longer. So it's my recommended size says 9.5 inches from the underarm, so I might need to go a little bit longer, but that's easy to adjust for. It's not a problem. And the lovely linen quill is absolutely beautiful. I just really love it. There's something really magical about this yarn here. I'm delighted I still have some of it left to work with. So that's my work in progress. I have a couple of other works in progress which I'm going to quickly show you. You've seen both of these before, but just to show you that I haven't been idle with my other long-term works in progress, and this is where I'm at now. I'm nearly there with my what's this one called again? Pearl Sohos half and half wrap. So this is it. It is huge. This is my half and half wrap in the linen quill, wheat flower and juniper green, and I have this much left in one of my wheat flower skeins, but I did buy another one, and I think I probably will need it. There's that many rows left, so double that many stitches of rows to go to finish. So I probably will need more than what I have left here, but I might have some left over as well, and who knows, I might get something nice out of it. The mini mock neck tank, actually, for my size, it was recommending 480 meters. Now that's for a cropped version, but still, you can get one of these out of 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, which is absolutely incredible. So I'll be looking into maybe, hopefully, knitting more of those if I like the look of it in the end when I've finished it, which I hope I will. I think I will. So can't wait to finish this gorgeous piece. It's sort of a slow evening knit when I'm not doing anything more exciting than that. Oh yeah, the other thing, the last thing I want to show you is this. And this is Okay, I have the bags of yarn here. This is the, oh gosh, everybody knows what this is. It's gone out of my head. The Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christoffers. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name. Now I had actually finished this, so I had, pretty much, but I ripped back. So this is where I'm at the moment, is at the border, and the pattern changes slightly at the border. The flowers become sort of more prolific or denser, and I had decided I wasn't going to have enough yarn left. Actually, this is another problem, another one where I have literally, I'm using up leftover yarn. So like I'm using up this here, which was left over from this pattern here, which I brought to show you. So this is the, you've seen this before if you've seen my podcasts. This has come out of hibernation for the summer. This is one of my most loved knits. But this was dyed for me by Life in the Long Grass. It's called, what's it called? Oh, I had it flitted through my mind. Anyway, I forget the name of it, of the colour. But it is, so for the purple, I was pairing up this silk mohair with one of the Life in the Long Grass colours that I had. And I had loads left over. At least I had about half, I think it was a 50 gram skein of silk mohair, so quite a lot of it. Very good value, I think it was €20, and it was dyed to order, so really good service there. And so I paired this with the, this is Rama, again Rama Phenol, and these two together make this gorgeous sort of purpley effect. A sort of a deep violet effect, and I was running out of that, so I literally didn't have enough of this left to finish the whole border, and I also didn't have enough of the pink yarn left, so I decided to use different a green, some of the green that I was using in this silk mohair, and white, and I was also pairing it with, instead of the pink, I don't know if I have any of these here at the moment. I put them in a different bag. They're green anyway. Yeah, they're green. Actually, it was the leftover of the chartreuse. So I was putting the leftover chartreuse singles into the flowers in the border of this. And I thought pink and green go really well, and navy and green go really well, and I finished it anyway, the whole thing done, and I looked at it and I thought, I just didn't like it. It was too much, it was too dramatic of contrast, too high contrast. And I thought, no, I actually really like the look of just the pink and the navy. So I went back, I ripped it out, and I'm deciding to stop when I reach the end of this ball. And that'll be enough. The shawl will be long enough. And I've decided not to do a border because I really like the spacing between the flowers here. I didn't really like the look of the bunched up flowers in the border. So that's where I'm going with that. And this is a really, really slow project. I love the fabric that's created, but I don't think I'm going to knit another mosaic project too quickly because or too soon. I won't be jumping into it because it's so slow. You know, it's such a slow knit. And that's that. Oh yes, so for future knitting plans then, I will talk to you in a second. I'll be back to you in a minute, okay? Okay, hi again. I am going to tell you about my future knitting plans now. I've shown you everything that is a work in progress or a finished object so far, and now I have a few plans for future knitting, and they are all sort of summary knits. And the first one I meant to say to you, this is actually the Soldotna crop by Caitlin Hunter, if you didn't recognise it. It's a really famous pattern. Every single one of these that I see I absolutely love, and they're all different. I mean, it's just a genius pattern because it is so satisfying to knit. The colour work is so engaging. It's a short pattern. It's because it's short sleeves. It doesn't take long. This was knit with a fingering weight held together with silk mohair, so it has this incredibly beautiful drape. But you can use, it's a DK weight pattern, so you can use a DK weight yarn. You can use two held together. I've seen people just knitting this actually with fingering weight only and just changing the number of stitches. It is just a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Always looks great. The shape is fantastic, and the colours are endless. Colour combinations are absolutely endless. So this was knit with yarn that was given to me very kindly by Caroline from Life of the Long Grass. That was around the beginning of last year, and I think I knit this in the summer of last year. So, and I wear this a lot. I really enjoy wearing it. It's lightweight but warm, perfect for, as I said, keep saying, perfect for an Irish summer. So I'm going to, because this is written for a DK weight, I am going to actually use a sport weight yarn. So this is the colour combination that I'm looking at. Haven't settled on an exact colour combination, but it is these, possibly these four, or possibly with the lavender. Lavender also goes well, but I may go with the grey for more of a contrast. Anyway, these are all except one of these yarns are Old Centrum, which is a Swedish yarn, and it's sport weight, and really good value as well, and just so rustic. I think there's Gotland wool in it, which gives it this beautiful shine, this beautiful quality that I absolutely love, that I don't find in any other yarns, similar yarns, a similar price range, with similar colours. The colour scheme is of this yarn is just beautiful, and the choice that you have is fabulous. So the one that isn't, so all of these are Old Centrum, and these have been in my stash for a good long while. This was given to me at Christmas, as I was saying, by Stamatia, and this was an acquisition. So I bought 5 skeins of this when I was buying the silk mohair. No, sorry, not the silk mohair. When I was buying the green Rama for this sweater, and I got it on the Old Centrum website. And I thought, if I'm buying Rama, I really want to get some Old Centrum at the same time. So I did. So I bought 5 skeins of this, potentially to make a sweater. I absolutely adore the neutral, the grey colour, and this one actually is a new colour that I hadn't come across before. It's called Ice Grey, I think. So it's somewhere between. So they have a sort of a dark grey and medium grey. They have an anthracite, which is black, which I knit a top out of as well before, a hoodie. And this one is another shade of grey, so it's somewhere between the dark grey and the medium grey, and I really like the look of it. And so I'm sort of hesitant to use it in this project, because it might mean I have to get more if I'm knitting a bigger project out of the rest of the yarn. And this one does go well, but I'm thinking it might be too close in colour. I really love the contrast of the grey with these colours. Anyway, I'll decide. I'll knit a swatch. That's what I have to do. That's how I decided on the colour combination for this one. I knit a swatch up, and it's the only way to decide really for colour work when you're not sure how to distribute the colours. So the only one that's not an Old Centrum yarn is this one here, which is an Irish yarn. This is Yarn Vibes from Cork, Yarn Vibes Organic, and this is the Emerald Isle, is the name of the type, and the colour then is Blackberry. So it's 300 meters per 100 grams. So again, it's a sport weight yarn, and this is it really is Blackberry. It's such a beautiful, deep purple colour. It looks navy sometimes, but when you see it in certain lights, you can see that it's actually the colour of blackberries, or blackberry juice when you get it on your hands. So they're my colours for my next Soldotna crop. So this is going to be a very different feel to the lovely, this is sort of luxury fabric. This is going to be a bit more hard wearing, but I think it'll also have a fair bit of drape in it. Oh yeah, so the thing is that this is sport weight, but the pattern calls for DK. But I think that when I knit with this yarn, I often get a DK gauge with it. And I usually knit this with 3.5mm needles, so I'm going to see whatever gauge I get with my 3.5mm. And I'm going to look at the finished gauge of a jumper that I knit a few years ago with 3.5 with this yarn, and I'm going to go on that gauge. And we'll see, does that work for the pattern. But I have to take account of the fact that it's colour work as well, so that it will be a tighter gauge on that. So that's those. So I'm really looking forward to knitting colour work again, because I haven't done colour work in a good while, and I'm overdue a colour work project. Definitely, really looking forward to it, because the projects like these, I love the mindlessness in some ways of the knit, but at the same time, I love colour work, and not mosaic colour work. I actually just love stranded colour work for loads of reasons. It's really, really satisfying to knit with. And the last project that I have plans for is with this beautiful wool that the Seriatogha 3-ply, the Faroese wool, which I was knitting my Ewan sweater out of, which I actually still haven't frogged. I haven't frogged that sweater, and it's not because I want to keep it. I mean, I really do want to get the wool back, but I haven't frogged it until I find a pattern that I'm happy to go with. And I think that it was too close to me to frog and start immediately again with the new pattern. I just couldn't. I didn't have the stomach for it, I suppose. If you like, I think when something doesn't work out, you have to distance yourself from it for a while. You know, do something completely different, and go back to it then with a fresh mind and a fresh outlook. And I really am looking forward to using that yarn, and I have to find something to knit with it. So in the meantime, I got extra balls of this because it was so cheap, and also because it's such beautiful yarn, and I have enough for a summer top. So I have enough to knit the cutting edge vest by Albion McLaughlin. And the inspiration for knitting that garment came from seeing Emma Robinson on her beautiful podcast, Woolly Mammoth Fibres podcast, and seeing her working in the garden with a cutting edge vest on her and just looking absolutely incredible. Like, it's just a beautiful garment, and just she's got a great podcast, so highly recommend it if you haven't watched it before. Emma Robinson, Woolly Mammoth. And she's just built a studio for herself and a beautiful garden with dye plants in it. So envious. But anyway, so it's a really great showcase as well of her own yarn, which is all made from wool from locally grown, locally sourced materials, and she dyes it all herself with natural dyes. So really inspirational. But anyway, and one day I will knit something from her yarns. I haven't actually haven't gone there yet. Haven't decided to make the investment, but it's highly well worth it. I would highly recommend. So I'm going to knit a cutting edge vest, and that involves steeking. So I've never steeked before. Really looking forward to that experience and trying that out. But I was going to start it recently, and then I thought, no, it's too much headspace, too much else going on in my life at the moment to learn a new skill. So that's when I started off doing the mini mock neck tag. Also, the colour of that, the red colour, was really, something that attracted me for the summer. But I really want to knit this as well before the end of the summer. And this just, I think, I'm not sure how it's knit, but anyway, you steek it to get the opening, I think, is it for the opening for the arms or the neck? I can't remember. It's a V-neck. I'll put up a picture, and so that's that. So they're all my projects, all my plans, and the only acquisitions, as I said, I have are this. I haven't bought any new yarn, and my big ambition is to try and use up yarns from stash. I still have a load to use up. An awful lot of the colour I have is green though, so I didn't want us to go straight into another green project after knitting this one. I may buy some yarn before the end of the year, who knows. I'm always tempted. Hedgehog fibres were having a sale recently. I really want to buy some of Woolly Mammoth's. I love her. I love the sort of undyed, actually, especially the Jacobs, and this lovely sort of brown, beautiful quality wool actually that she produces. So I'm gonna buy some of that at some stage. Yeah, so that's it. And so thank you so much for watching if you're just here for the knitting content, and I'm going to be talking about the Irish cultural stuff in a second now. And if you have liked the content so far, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel, and I'd be delighted if you could do that. And and leave a comment and all those things. So yes, I'm going to talk a little bit now about the another 5 letters from the Ogham alphabet. So far we've looked at the first 5 letters. So if you want to look at the history of, or what we know about Ogham, the alphabet, and that it was the first form of written Irish. It's the Irish language, either Gaelic language, Irish language, and all of the letters are associated with trees in some way, and the alphabet was really connected to the reverence of the people of the time for nature and the natural world, and particularly the reverence for trees, which has actually come down in folklore and in culture today. Even in anybody connected with the land, farmers don't go near hawthorn trees, for example. They won't take them out because they're connected with the fairy world, and they still are very much seen like that they are connected to the other world. And it is just incredible to think that there's that sort of direct line of contact with our distant past still in the way people view some aspects of the landscape. We're not perfect at all by any means here in this country. You know, we don't, we could be better in terms of our understanding of our environment, but certainly in terms of folk tradition, it's definitely still there in people's heads and people's minds. It's very, very deeply rooted in the culture. So yeah, so the 5 letters that I have, that we're going to look at today are, we have Ua, it's U-A-T-H, which means hawthorn. Dar, which is, or it's associated with the hawthorn tree. Dar, which means oak. Tinna, which is associated with the holly tree. Hazel, or Cull, which means hazel. And Kert, which is associated with apple. And when I say means and associated with, the difference between those things are that sometimes the letter is called by the word that is used still today for that tree in Irish, so it is a direct link. Other names of letters are not called by the direct name of the tree, but they are some characteristic that that tree has, that, and because of the seasonal placement of the letter, because the alphabet is done seasonally, the beginning is winter and it goes through spring, summer, autumn, and ends back at winter again. So the placement of the tree within the alphabet is a seasonal placement. So between the season and the indirect meaning, that the word for that letter is associated with a certain type of tree, which is absolutely fascinating. And there were these what are called word ohms, and the word ohms were in the annals and the ancient manuscripts where the alphabet is described. The word ohms are almost like crossword clues, which give clues to the meanings of the actual words for the letters. So to start off with, we have hawthorn, or Ua, which is U-A-T-H, and the word Ua means fear or awe, and this is equated by the scholars with hawthorn or whitethorn, and the word has connotations of respect and awe, and these are summed up in the traditional attitude to the hawthorn tree or the whitethorn tree, which is considered to be sacred, and it's considered to be the realm of the fairies, and something that you don't cut down and you don't go near, and you don't take a hawthorn branch into your house or it's bad luck. And so it's very much a magical tree, a fairy tree. And this is placed correctly seasonally, as it has always been associated with the festival of Bealtaine. Now, Bealtaine, as I was telling you at the beginning of the podcast, is the Irish word for the month of May. And Bealtaine is also given to the festival that happens at the very beginning of May. So it's a fire festival. It's one of the main 4 fire festivals of the year, and it is the welcoming in of the summer, and a time of great otherworldly power. So it flowers at this time of the year. The fields of certainly parts of rural Ireland, certainly around me here in the west of Ireland, the hedgerows are full of hawthorn, and if you look into the fields, you'll see hedgerows bounded by these white, they look almost like sort of a wedding shower of white flowers all over the boundaries to the fields, and it really does look otherworldly. It looks fantastic, and it's such a beautiful time of the year. So so that's where the connection with hawthorn comes from that word awe, or meaning awe or fear. So the tree was held in awe, and it was feared and otherworldly. So that's the 6th letter. The 7th letter then, dar. Dar literally means oak. You have Derry, the name of the very famous city where Derry Girls comes from. If you've heard of the comedy, Dar Derry means literally oak, Dera. And you have lots of place names with Dar in them, like Kildare is Kildara, which is the Church of the Oak. You have I can't think of any more at the moment, loads of them. It's also a boy's name and possibly a girl's name as well. So the letter is the name for the tree, so that's an easy connection. And seasonally, the oak is correctly placed at around the time of midsummer, with which it is connected by tradition. So in the Ogham, we're actually perfectly timed for the timing of these podcasts at the moment, of this particular podcast, because we're talking about trees that flower, that are associated with the summer. So the hawthorn, which flowers at the beginning of the summer, the oak, which is connected with midsummer, which is coming up on the 21st of June. And then we have the 8th letter, which is Tinna, which is not the Irish word for holly, but it is thought that holly is meant by this particular word here. And holly we would normally associate with Christmas time, or most people would associate with Christmas time, but actually holly was associated with the festival of Lunasa, and Lunasa is the other great fire festival that happens at the beginning of summer. So it's the eve of the 31st of July going into the 1st of August is the festival of Lunasa. And the holly tree is associated with that time of the year, because there were contests like chariot races and feats of arms, or arms, weaponry, what's it called, archery, that type of thing. There were these competitions held at the Lunasa festival, and the meaning of the word Tinna is then the word means iron, or tough, or dense, like the timber of the holly tree, and it has like strength and iron-like qualities. That's the word Tinna. And in the word ohms, so these little crossword clues that were given in the manuscripts, Tinna is actually described as one of 3 parts of a wheel. So it fits well with the fact that holly timber, being so strong, was used to make the shafts of chariot wheels. And then also you have the meaning one of 3 parts of a weapon. So the word ohms, these crossword clues associate the word with strength, the strength of a chariot wheel spoke. So the word ohm says one of 3 parts of a wheel, and holly timber was so strong that it was used to make the shafts for chariot wheels. And also the word ohms say that it was one of 3 parts of a weapon, which could also mean holly, as its wood would have been used for making handles for knives and possibly swords. And then the seasonal placement with the festival of Lunasa is connected with the chariot races and the arms contests that were held traditionally at that time of the year to celebrate the end of the summer and the beginning of the harvest season. So holly for us is, as I said, is associated with midwinter, but it's much more connected with in Irish mythology with the god Lu, and with these seasonal games at Lunasa. So so it connects the whole thing to it makes sense of this placement of the letter in the alphabet, which is seasonal. At the end, so Lunasa is the end of August. It's the end of August, the 31st of August, beginning of 31st of July. Beginning of August. It's when the tradition was for people to climb hills and to light fires, and there's a huge tradition still of people climbing what we know as the Reek, the mountain very near me here called Croagh-Patrick. So there's a great festival of the climbing of Croagh-Patrick on the 31st of July, which is the eve of Lunasa. Finally then, or not finally, the second last letter, number 9 in the alphabet, is Col, which means hazel, and it's actually the Irish word for hazel, so there's no dispute about the meaning of the letter name. And the word ohms then describe the hazel's characteristics at mid-autumn in the seasonal cycle, at the time when hazelnuts are ripe. So basically it means that the setting of this particular letter is correct in terms of the overall seasonal development of the alphabet from the beginning to the end. The 10th letter then, Cert, is taken to mean apple tree, and the word ohm is Clither Boscail, which McCoitir, the author of the book that I am using, Ireland's Trees, Myths, Legends and Folklore, so he gives all of this information about the ohm alphabet, and McCoitir interprets the word ohm for Cert, or apple, as shelter of wounded or injured person. And it's a reference to the supposed healing and regenerative powers of the apple. And the second word, ohm, is brí andine, which means the power or life of the weak and mediocre person. So again, referring to strength and strength-giving and healing characteristics and properties that are traditionally associated with the fruit of the apple tree, the apple. And seasonally, the apple is also correctly placed in the autumn beside its natural partner, the hazel. So we have movement through from Bealtaine, which is the hawthorn. The letter is Ua. The 5th letter moving through to Dar, or oak, which is seasonally midsummer, at the 21st of June. Then to Tinna, or holly, which is associated with Lu and the festival of Lunasa at the end of July, beginning of August. Then to Col, or hazel, which is connected with the autumn, or the harvest. Hazelnut, the production of hazelnuts in September, October. And then Cert, or apple, which is also the time of the production of apples in the autumn time, same time as the hazel. So it's just a fascinating alphabet, and I was very lucky to see an ogham stone standing in a graveyard on one of my walks in County Kerry on the Dingle Peninsula recently, and I'll put some footage up at the end here which shows you the ogham stone, and it is beside a Romanesque church on a walk that brings you past many sites and monuments even older than either of those, that either the ogham or the Romanesque, going right back into megalithic times, prehistory. So if you ever get to see the Dingle Peninsula, the walk that I did is called Cosán na Nave. Which means the footpath of the saints, and it is just a beautiful walk, and it brings you to the foot hills, or at least it brings you to the start of the walk up Mount Brandon, which is I think the highest mountain on that peninsula. So it's just a stunning place. There really is a sense of magic on that particular peninsula, and a sense of another world and another time. It's very near. You can also see off the coast the Skelligs, which I talked about in a previous podcast, Skellig Michael and Skellig Beag, and it's just a lovely part of the world. So I hope I've inspired you to maybe read a little bit more about the Ogham alphabet and maybe have a look at maybe coming to the west of Ireland, or if you live near there, if you live in the country, certainly visiting County Kerry, visiting Dingle, visit Mayo as well, of course, which is where I live, which is also a beautiful county, and we have the Reek climb on the 31st of July, although it tends to get busy then. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to be back talking to you again and sharing my knitting. I've really, really enjoyed it, and I'm so sorry I've been away for 3 months. I can't believe it's been that long. But life had just got terribly hectic, and I'm actually really glad that I took the break. I feel much more lively and much more able for being, I suppose, awake during a podcast, not sleeping through it. I feel more inspired actually as well about my knitting. I went through a phase there where I was uninspired, I think, and I think the whole gauge thing as well, it's quite, after spending a long time knitting a garment and it doesn't fit, it can be actually quite demoralising, and just it takes time to put it to one side and forget about it for a while and move on and learn from it, I suppose. And I think the gauge thing is a constant learning curve, because every fabric and every yarn is different, and you know, you really just have to get a feel for it and get to know your own tension and how your tension changes from a gauge swatch to your actual knitting. But I think it's because it's such a mystery that it makes knitting really appealing. I think you just never know how it's going to turn out, and so it's always good. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. As I said, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I also have a Ko-fi account. And thank you so much to everybody who's contributed so far to that account. I really, really appreciate it. It really encourages me. It was what kept me coming back, actually. A couple of people were contributing even when I wasn't podcasting, and it's just really encouraging. Thank you so much to everybody who's done so. It helps me to cover the costs of making the videos, and yeah, so thank you so much. That's it for now. Please leave a comment as well. I didn't respond to your comments the last time. I'm so sorry. I did heart everybody's, give everybody a like, but I was actually burnt out at the time, and I really couldn't stretch to responding, which I definitely will make an effort to respond to your comments. I really love them. I love the interaction that we get, that you know, that we all have through these YouTube videos and through Instagram, and the connections I've made with a lot of people who also comment on both. Thank you so much. It's really, really good. I really feel connected, and I think that's really one of the huge benefits of the knitting community, is that we have a shared love of all things fibre and colour and pattern and, you know, what's the word, garments, even garment making. You know, it's actually such a great thing. It's a great connection to have with other people. And yes, so I will leave it there. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, and see you all next time. Okay, bye for now.
Don't be a stranger in the night. Take a chance for some romance. Don't cover your eyes. Willow trees know you better than anyone else. It's time you let your guard down. For someone like me, I'd say I'm settled and pretty calm. I don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. the sweetest red cheese I'd ever seen. You stand beside me in every dream. Angel goddess, you cover them all. Say, what can I do to get you to fall for someone like me? I'd say I'm settled and a pretty cold. Don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. It's most of all that deserves you. It's crucial that he deserves you. That he deserves you. Go with someone like me. I'd say I'm settled and a pretty calm. I don't storm in the storm, no. Not me, then someone like me that knows what to do and how to take care of you. But most of all, that deserves you. That he deserves that he deserves you. I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea. I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal. Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare, and I wanna take you there. I would give it all away to do it all again. Make our love a story that would never end. Never thought I'd feel so alive looking in your eyes. I just wanna love you till the day I die. Oh, oh, I just wanna love you right. Oh, oh, love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare, and I wanna take you there. If I'm gonna love someone